This build ticks every box that a build needs to be fun. It has explosions, you deal damage while moving, fast, tanky, can deal huge amount of damage, and have a really cool looking MTX. What's up guys, Pidget here. Our skill choice is soulrend. You fire a projectile, this projectile have infinite pierce and can turn towards the enemy, so we don't have to exactly aim at the enemy. Because this spell is chaos based, we can add to the mix poison and my favorite Ascendancy, Pathfinder. But the best thing about this, how we using this skill. For the first time we were using cat-white channeling and our channeling skill is Cyclone. With all of this, we got a really cool looking build in our hand. Cast-white channeling doesn't care about breakpoints, attack speed or anything, so we don't have to worry about that. If you're using the awakened cast-white channeling version, which is dirt cheap, you can cast 3.3 times in a second, making an extremely good for clear. It's so good even if you only just looking on this build. We're using Pathfinder because this Ascendancy is almost the best for a poison build, and while you channeling the Cyclone, you have reduced movement speed. But with the Pathfinder Flask effect increase, we can get around pretty easily this penalty, because using silver and a quicksilver flex, so we're zooming around pretty high movement speed. We can add a really cool thing to our build, Nimis. With this ring, things starts getting crazy. All the projectiles will be fired random direction. For exchange, they will return to us. This is where things gets hectic. Just look at this, so satisfying. And the most important, this ring will give us around 3-4 times damage on a single target, because all the projectiles will return to us with firing 5 or 6 projectiles. Depends you have the helm enchantment or not. Without this ring, the build is still very good, but the signal target is not amazing, so for maximum enjoyment you have to use this ring. This is a little showcase, with and without the ring. You can clearly see the signal target increase. Also on maps, looks really cool, but you have to go on open area maps for maximum enjoyment. Of course, you can test it yourself, which version you like. You can kill any non-Uber boss or do any invitation with this, so you are not limited to just mapping. I have a bad news. Because you have to use the Crucible tree for soulrend, you are limited to a few weapons. This mod only rolls on a few weapon type. It has 2 versions. On one-handed weapon it will roll 2 extra projectiles, so you need a shield with the mod or use another weapon in the offhand. But your damage will be much lower than the staff version, which is can roll +4 projectile to soulrend, and the staff can roll +3 to chaos spell skill gems. Alone this is hard to beat damage wise. Also you have to know, this mod only can roll on wands, scepters, daggers, shield and stuff. You can cyclone with wand, so this is off the table. You could use scepter, but this can't roll the chaos gem level mod, so this is also off. Only left the dagger, this can roll any mod we need, but you also have to get a shield or another dagger with the soulrend mod, making it harder to get what we want. But as I said earlier, your damage will much lower. Another really bad news, because almost no one plays with staff, the supply with the soulrend mod is almost non-existent. Just take a look on the trade site, and this is even before the video. So if you want to play this, start Unhide on your filter the staffs and start filling up the market so everyone can enjoy the build who want to give a try. I spent almost more than 4 divine to get the Crucible mod, and I did not want to get any fancy stuff, just a soulrend mod. I'm only having fun if I don't die while mapping, so I made the build tanky as possible so I can just turn off my brain and mindlessly kick on the altars, while also don't look on the map mods, so I just all can go or even do juiced maps if I want to. On the defensive side, let's start with my favorite part. We have elemental ailments immunity, because we're using Storm Shroud. Chains to avoid being shagged also apply to all elements. So we can easily get immunity with a signal boots and the craft avoid ailments on it. The other best thing about this build, we almost converting all the physical damage taken to elemental damage, using Lightning Coil, that alone 50%, a unique flask, namely Taste of Fate, that 21%, because we have increased flask effect node allocated on the tree, 10% from our Watcher Eye, because we're using Pretty of Lighting. Because we take that many damage as elemental, we can use all the elemental damage reduction flask, Ruby, Topaz, and the unique Sapphire flask, Taste of Fate, so we're reducing the damage we take from the physical that we're converting to elemental damage. If you hit the like button, like the shaper hitting the elder, so it can start spread to more people. Thank you. Few important things you need in the build. Because we're using Eldritch battery, we need every possible energy shield that we can get. So you have to use evasion and energy shield bases. Aim on your weapon, chaos damage overtime multi, +3 to all chaos spell skill gems. Also you need a Crucible mod soulrend fires for additional projectiles. Using a few unique items in the build, lighting coil, unique body armor. This is give us a really big physical damage reduction. Nimis unique ring for the signal target increase, and it looks really cool when you spinning around and all the cats returning to you. Circle of Nostalgia with chaos damage affected by Herald of Agony, and Herald of Agony has increased mana reservation efficiency. In presence unique amulet, so we can have a curse aura for free. We anointing toxic strikes. For the chance to poison, with this we can have 100% chance to poison. Devouring Diadem unique helmet for the mana reservation efficiency, and to get the Eldritch battery so we can reserve all of our mana. Flasks we using is a ruby, topaz, a unique flask, taste of hate, silver flask, and a quicksilver flask. All the flask needs this mod, gain free charge when you take a hit, and the flask enchantment use when full. The sub mods is the following: damage taken from hits is leashed as life, additional elemental resistance, reduce mana cost, and I'm using increased rarity, but you can use life regen mod if you really want to. You can get all of this mod from the betray mechanic when unveiling flask. When you're doing invitation on bigger boss fights, switch the silver flask to life flask to get insane recovery. The following implicits you can craft the Eldritch currency. Spam till you get the following. On your gloves, suppression and chaos damage over time where there is a unique enemy nearby. On your boots, avoid elemental ailments and avoid being shagged. I just want to highlight a few things on the passive tree that you need for the build. Using 2 8 passive cluster jewel. On the first one, Touch of Cruelty, Dark Identitation, and Unspeakable Gifts. The reason is why I'm using this cluster, because I wanted explosion in the build. You can use better cluster, but will be more expensive. 2 medium cluster jewel with the same mods, Flow of Life and Brute for Potency. On the other side of the tree, Wicked Pole, Unwearingly Evil. The third mod on this jewel, it doesn't matter, because we didn't take it, but you have to get these two. Medium cluster with the same mod as earlier, Flow of Life and Brute for Potency, using a small cluster jewel, here with mana reservation and Mortifying Aspect. Malevolence has 50% increased mana reservation efficiency. Also, I want to highlight a very interesting mastery. This Chaos Mastery, normally you don't take any Chaos build, but because we don't casting by ourselves any Chaos skill, this is just free damage increase for us. 2 unique jewel, a Watcher Eye with damage leash as life while affected by vitality, and physical damage taken as lighting damage while affected by polarity of lighting. Storm Shroud, chance to avoid being shagged, also applied to all elements. The rare jewels mods is you looking for damage over time multi, life, and projectile speed. You need to get on every single one because the Crucible weapon tree is reducing the projectile speed, so we countering with this. We taking Pathfinder as our Ascendancy. On your first lab we take Nature Reprisal. I'm leveled with Toxic Rain, so this node was a game changer in the early acts. Second lab take Nature's Boon, so your magic flask will have increased effect. Just don't forget upgrade your Quicksilver flask to magic rarity while leveling. Third lab, Nature's Adrenaline, you now generating flask charges. Last lab, take Master Toxicist. Gem and Gemling, starting with our main link in our body armor, Soulrend, Cyclone, Awakened Cuts while channeling, Awakened Unbound Elements, Empower, and for clear, we using faster projectiles, and when doing bigger boss fights, you swapping out this to Awakened Void Manipulation. Our curse setup in our gloves, Awakened Blasphemy support, Despair, Temporal Chains, and socketing here the Divengered Herald of Agony. Divine Blessing setup in our boots, Inspiration, Haste, Zealotry, Divine Blessing. When I'm doing maps, I just use the Haste, and for mob bosses or bigger boss fights, I'm using the Zealotry. Aura setup in our helmet, Summon Skitterbots, Malevolence, Enlighten level 3, and Purity of Lighting. In our weapon, Anomalous Withering Step. I got a little tip for this skill. You can use this skill while channeling Cyclone, and you will not lose the Wither aura. Also, you will go faster for the duration, but if you stop channeling and using any other skill, it will deactivate the buff. Flame Dash as our movement skill, cost 1 damage taken, immortal call, and level 1 vitality for our Watcher Eye. I hope you enjoyed this video about cats while channeling soulrend Pathfinder. I would like to see you in Discord as well. We have a small but active community. Check out the description for the link. Also, I would like to say thank you to my Patreons for still supporting me. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. I was Pidget. See you next time.